Greetings, Rakndar here. Welcome back to another brand new YouTube video. Today we are going to be kind of going back on a few things I've stated in previous videos. Today, as you can see, we got some Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links content returning. So the first few minutes of this video will be a slight update announcement, a few updates to the channel. I'll be discussing a couple of what to expect in the near future and stuff like that. So if you want to skip all that and go straight to my deck list discussion and replays, you can check the description below for some timestamps. Anyway, let's jump straight into it. Essentially what happened was I've been kind of keeping up here or there with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links meta. I love playing the card game, and I actually never quit Duel Links because I didn't enjoy the card game aspect of it. It was always a decision because due to the way Konami chose to kind of monetize the game. I was not a fan of it. They kept progressing towards more scummier and scummier tactics. The nail in the coffin for me was when they decided to release all of the ace monsters from the 5Ds characters as boxes or inside of boxes as opposed to alongside those specific characters. 5Ds is one of the most popular of the anime, and I'm pretty sure they knew it. So unlike Dark Magician, Cyber Angels, like Cyber Angels was even good, so like they don't like, if they wanted to, you know, only put bad cards in free-to-play pool, which is kind of a problem in and of itself, but I'll talk about that in a separate video because I can go on for a good while on some of my issues. They decided to do something like that, and for me it just felt really scummy. I didn't like that, and so I kind of was like, all right, I don't really have any way to create more content as a streamer, because I did stream this game as my focus for my stream channel for a while, and I just kind of put it down. It was really difficult to create content for it after hitting King of Games. There was really nothing more for me as a player to do after that, because I didn't have the money to invest in rogue decks or meme decks that were viable on the ladder, and I also didn't want to really run any kind of tournaments. There's really that's not something I'm very much interested in. It's a very difficult job, and I appreciate all those who do run tournaments for Duel Links, but I personally am not a fan of TOing. I did TO Smash stuff in the past. I helped a lot of people do some local tournaments, and it's a stressful job, and it's not something I immediately wanted to do with Duel Links. So as a result, I kind of stopped playing it, just kind of keeping up here or there. And I kind of ultimately decided that it is probably the most popular thing on my YouTube channel. So since the videos are relatively straightforward compared to other videos, why not continue creating content? I still enjoy the game. I liked a lot of the stuff they've added. The thing that really brought me back was Elemental Hero NEOS support. I really like the Elemental Hero archetype. If you got capital HERO in your name, it's a very good chance I want to mess around with you as a card. So after I noticed they released it, I watched some people make do some videos on it, so I wanted to play it, and so I jumped in, and I was like, you know what, I don't have to stream Duel Links to have a good time with it, so I will be creating Duel Links content on the YouTube channel. It's a lot easier for me. Duel Links content in video form is a lot easier compared to other videos that I have planned. There's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to accomplish with my stream, as well as I have a part-time job on the side to make money and pay rent. So it can be very time-consuming to go in, record, edit, and all of that stuff with a YouTube video. And so basically I wanted to jump back into the Duel Links form, because I can really, I can space out the content more, right? I don't have to play the game 8 hours a day for my stream, you know, so I can space out the content, get a lot more longevity out of my content and the game, and I feel like that's probably the best way moving forward. So as kind of TLDR, moving forward, more Duel Links content will be coming to the channel. I will be doing more deck lists, especially Elemental Hero NEOS deck lists. So you can look forward to all of that. In terms of other content, I will be doing Path of Exile stuff as well. They're releasing a lot of cool things like tomorrow, or today's Wednesday when I'm releasing this video, so 2 days from now, I think they're releasing their whole big new update. So there's a lot of cool stuff with that. I will be doing Path of Exile content still, and I will be doing some other variety videos, but Duel Links will be a regular recurring thing on the channel once again, so that's pretty exciting. I'm happy. I have played a good bit over the past couple of weeks, especially since I got my wisdom teeth out. It was probably when I played the most. I was out for a week of work and stream because of wisdom teeth removal, so I pretty much just played Duel Links a bunch and other games and just watched a bunch of things. So I'm having a good time with what what I'm returning to. I ended up spending about $6 to get the Neos structure deck. I thought it was a fair investment. Had 1,000 gems and had a bit of spare money on my Google Play account from other stuff, so it is what it is. So let's go ahead and jump straight into deck list stuff and gameplay. I have a few videos recorded for gameplay, or replays recorded from when I actually played, and we were messing around with the Neos, the new Elemental Hero Neos support cards. So what is Elemental Hero Neos support? What have they added to the game to make the Neos so popular all of a sudden? Well, it all comes down to a brand new card called Neos Fusion. And just right when I say that, we get the load in for the game. Bam, Neos Fusion. This is the big card for the new structure deck. This is the reason Elemental Hero Neos is so good. Well, it's 75% of the reason Elemental Hero Neos is so good. The other 25% is Brave Neos. We'll talk about that in a moment, but let me just go over what kind of things this card can do. So, Neos Fusion. Special summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that lists exactly 2 monsters. So you can't special summon anything else. A good example of a card that would be pretty OP if you could special summon it would be Storm Neos. Unfortunately, this requires 3 monsters, so you cannot special summon it with Neos Fusion. But if it only requires, it has to list 2 monsters specifically, and it also has to require Elemental Hero Neos. It has to specifically include him as a requirement in order to activate this card. And then whenever you do that, you can send those monsters from your hand, deck, or field. And the big word there is deck. Anything that can fusion summon from your deck is a pretty powerful card. Not only does it help accelerate your deck forward by putting stuff into the graveyard you might not want or you might need in the graveyard, such as our good old friend Bacon Saver, it just it's a free fusion. Most of the time, whenever you, like especially in the older days of Yu-Gi-Oh, you required a bunch of stuff to go right to get a good fusion monster on the board. But nowadays, it's a lot easier. We have some really strong, powerful support cards in order to help us do so. Red Eyes Fusion is another example of that. It is released into the game as well. Red Eyes is a pretty popular deck. So, yeah, we have that capability to throw stuff into the graveyard, Neos Fusion Summon right off the get-go. And then the really good thing as well is if a fusion monster that you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. It has to list Elemental Hero Neos. It's it's Neos Fusion for a reason. It has to specifically use that card. But you could banish this card from your graveyard instead. If anybody is familiar with old school Cyber Angel, the Cyber Angel card, I think it was Machine Angel Ritual, it works very similar to that. And additionally, because it is just a kind of passive effect in your graveyard, just straight up banish it instead, it can bypass the problems that Armades would offer. And so Armades is a popular synchro monster that people use in their decks, and if this card attacks, you cannot activate any kind of effect until the end of the damage step. So no Sphere Karibo, no Bacon Saver, no Econ, no Wall of D, nothing that would be activated can be activated if Armades declares an attack. However, because this is simply a passive negate destruction effect, you can still banish your Neos Fusion to protect your monster on the field. Really great card, really powerful protection. It's used in a lot of great decks because we also, with the Neo Structure deck, got a really powerful fusion monster. This one is called Elemental Hero Brave Neos. It requires 1 Elemental Hero Neos and 1 level 4 or lower effect monster, and that is huge. It is a very generic requirement for that effect monster, and it allows us to use Neos Fusion to send a lot of stuff to the graveyard that would normally be more difficult to put there. Baking Saver, like I mentioned earlier, you can use this to summon your Neos. You'll send Elemental Hero Neos, Bacon Saver, and you'll have a big boy on the field right at the get-go. He gains attack for each Neospatian and Hero monster as well. So since you already sent a Neos, this guy is 2600 attack, can be protected from this, and can be protected from this. Really great open hands whenever you start with Neos Fusion. Pretty solid stuff. And then additionally, when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can add 1 spell or trap card from your deck to your hand, specifically listing Elemental Hero Neos. So most of the time, you'll be re-adding another Neos Fusion for another Fusion summon, or maybe a possible Miracle Contact, which is a really great card to help recycle some of your resources. Neos Fusion does kind of have one single drawback in that you can't special summon after activating the card. You could do it before if you want to activate Miracle Contact and then Neos Fusion. That is something you can do. But as soon as you activate Neos Fusion, you only get one more. You can only have one more normal summon. You can only normal summon afterwards. No more special summoning for the rest of that turn. A little bit of a drawback, but it does require some kind of balancing as it is a really powerful card. And it brought Elemental Heroes pretty much back from non-existence. Especially Neospatian. A Neospatian deck actually works now. There's a few of them that I'll show you guys that other people have hit King of Games with. I kind of stole this deck from another player on the Duel Links meta website who hit King of Games with it. And basically what we're doing is we're combining the Neos Fusion engine with a CyberDark engine. And basically, because Neos Fusion can be generically added to a bunch of decks due to the simplicity, or due to the generic nature of the requirements for Brave Neos, we can add it to some decks that would maybe really like adding that consistency. It's been seen with a lot of different stuff. Kokai Miru have added some of them to their decks. Sometimes you even see it with Blue Eyes. It's a very versatile card. I really hope they don't put it on the ban list anytime soon. I think it's pretty decent. Like, I think it's a pretty okay card. I don't think there's a problem with it personally, but I'm also a little bit biased because I finally got Elemental Hero support that I've been looking for, so maybe there's a little bit of bias in my judgment right there. I love this card. It is a lot of fun to play with. I've been throwing it into a bunch of decks to try and make them better. Some of them have worked out, some of them not so much. So I really like this card. I think it adds a lot of variety to the game, and I honestly think it's a healthy thing. What I do think they should do is unban Cyber Angels, because this card pretty much does what Machine Angel Ritual does. So I don't think Cyber Angels would be too OP for the game anymore. Whenever they were released, they were insane. They were like a tier 0 deck right from the get-go. But I think nowadays, Cyber Angels would be alright. So I hope that maybe Konami will bring those back a little bit, take off some of their restrictions on the ban list so we can actually play the damn archetype. But anyway, that's a topic for something else. I'm not going to go too far into that. So let's talk about some of our Cyberdarks. Basically, what this deck is going to rely on is Cyberdark Cannon and Cyberdark Edge. Whenever Cyberdark Cannon is in your hand, you can discard it to search out your Cyberdark Edge. And when this monster is summoned, it'll equip a dragon from your graveyard. Most of the time, you'll have already used Cyberdark Cannon to search it, so it's in the graveyard. Or you sent one of them with your Neos Fusion. So usually with the Neos Fusion, we would prefer to send Lang Lang. This is a dragon type level 3 monster, and when it equips to that monster, it can make 2 attacks during the battle phase, which is really powerful because Cyberdark Edge can attack your opponent directly. And it does have a drawback where the damage is halved, but with Lang Lang, it pretty much negates that drawback. And then the rest of the cards are some pretty much standard spell trap card. We got Floodgate to help prevent our opponent from doing much. 2 copies of Wall of Disruption. Pretty standard back row are 2 copies of Enemy Controller. Very powerful quick play spell. Been here since the start. Been here pretty much since the game came out, and it's been pretty OP ever since. Really powerful card. 1 copy of Sphere Karibo. There's a lot of spell trap negation going around. They actually released Xian. I managed to pick up my copy of Xian finally, so you can expect a Xian deck soon. And basically, during both players' turn, he can negate 1 spell or trap card. And so, Wall of Disruption, just negate it. Floodgate, negate it. You know, all this other stuff. Really tricky to play around since we do rely a little bit on fusion summoning, but for the most part, there's a lot of that stuff going around. So having a card in our hand that can just kind of protect us instead is very powerful. And then finally, a Lava Golem. Like I said, there's a lot of spell trap negation. There's a lot of big monsters going around like Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eyes Slash Dragon. So Lava Golem is a very good card to just kind of tech into our deck in order to out some of our opponent's board. If Xian is there with another 6 Samurai, he can protect himself. So it's really good to just Lava Golem both of them. You're tributing them so they can't react. And then while Lava Golem does have a restriction where you can't normal summon, you can still special summon. So you can Lava Golem your opponent, use a Neos Fusion, and then because of the 100 extra attack, you can swing over the defense points of Lava Golem, get yourself a search, and come out on top of your opponent. And then for our skill, we are running Destiny Draw. Whenever you take 2,000 points of damage, you can search your deck for any card of your choosing during your draw phase. Pretty strong skill, useful for every deck in the game, I would argue. And so a lot of the times we're going to search Lava Golem, but if there's something else that we would need instead to come out on top, we're obviously going to choose those. So pretty strong deck. I've had a lot of fun playing it. I've been playing it in the current World Championships. The qualifiers are actually going on. Oh boy, that's did not mean we have a login bonus. Nice. I'll actually use those gems. So yeah, we have the World Championship qualifier going on. I haven't been playing as much because I didn't want to have a great duel and then delete some of my replays. But yeah, we have the qualifiers going on. I think most of our deck, or most of our duels are going to be from there, but I think one of them is from a ranked duel. I know we're pretty low rank, but I thought it was a pretty great showcase of how the deck plays out. So the first duel here, we have I was actually playing as Zane Truesdale in order to level him up for some gems. So we don't have our Destiny Draw available to us, but this might have been the one ranked duel. I can't remember. No, never mind. Dual level up on his end. So this one is not the case. So pretty standard opening here. As you can see, we have our copy of Neos Fusion. We actually have a Sphere Karibo in our hand. So we'll take a look at this. I end my turn. After this, simple fusion summon. We got Brave Neos on the field, 2600 attack, Neos Fusion in the graveyard, and a Bacon Saver in the graveyard. So this is 3 layers of protection for our monster. We got Neos Fusion, Bacon Saver, and Sphere Karibo. And it's a pretty big monster to boot. So this is a lot of protection. Our opponent decides to set one and pass. We set our Floodgate to help prevent our opponent from doing anything. Attack into his Winged Karibo, and then search out another Neos Fusion. Pretty strong stuff here. He decides to open up with the Neos Fusion himself. Sends in a hero monster, because he's looks like he's actually playing some heroes. So he actually gets the 200 attack boost in order to try and get over our monster. I decide to Bacon Saver because I have Lava Golem in my hand. So during this moment, I know that I want to Lava Golem him, and I don't. I decided to Bacon Saver instead. Probably better to use the Neos Fusion protection, but I decided to just go with the Bacon Saver. Maybe a slight misplay because Bacon Saver can protect all your monsters. Neos Fusion only protects your Neos. So probably better here to use the Neos Fusion protection so you have this available for something else. But it doesn't matter. We're gonna just destroy this guy. We draw into a Miracle Contact, send some monster to the graveyard, pop a Lava Golem, Neos Fusion to follow up, and now we have 3 big boys on the board, and they're all just going to direct attack to take the game. Pretty simple duel here. Really shows off the power that Lava Golem can have. Like I was stating whenever we talked about it, 2500 defense Lava Golem, you can swing over that with your monsters, so a really good card to pull into your deck. Let's go ahead, we're going to jump into this. The rest of these will be Yami Yugi, so we will have our Destiny Draw equipped. I did decide to eventually use him because I was playing it a bit more seriously. This is going to be playing against Seto Kaiba, and this is the ranked duel. What is it? For in silver. So this guy is in silver. I think he's probably returning player like I am or something like that. So here we go. We start off with a pretty powerful opener here. Again, Neos Fusion for the Bacon Saber Elemental Hero Neos. This is pretty much your standard turn 1 play. Bacon Saber is just so good in this. Just gives you so much good protection. We also discard our cannon in order to search out Cyberdark Edge, and then set a couple of back row and pass. So this is a pretty aggressive move by my part. I realize he's playing one of the newer decks called Subterrors, which whenever the Subterror monster, or whenever a monster gets flipped face down, so this one has an effect that allows you to flip it face down, you can special summon a Subterror monster. And so I go pretty aggressive here and econ take his monster so he can't set up any kind of board. And I just kind of hope that he doesn't have a good enough back row to stop me. Unfortunately, it turns out he does. He flips over a Paleozoic Canadia and starts getting his options to do anything. He summons the Subterror Behemoth, and I Floodgate Trap Hole it. He responds by summoning Subterror Nemesis Warrior. Maybe something to try and think about is whether or not you should Floodgate this guy, because the Warrior is really, really good. He can contribute himself and another monster to special summon a Subterror monster from the deck. So he's a really good 4-star monster, 1800 attack, so not even a bad stat line as well. And not only that, he can summon himself from the graveyard when they flip over. So in this situation, it's probably best to have Floodgated the Behemoth, because Behemoth banishes, and that's one of the reasons why I chose to econ take. Behemoth actually just straight up banishes your monster, and Neos Fusion does not protect against that. So I wanted to make sure I had the protection, or I had the, try to get that advantage going instead of, because I wasn't going to be able to rely on Neos Fusion to protect me. But yeah, so Floodgating the Behemoth was a pretty good start because he can't flip over and banish any monsters. He eventually flips that over, returns Cyberdark Edge to my hand, and then he does not play around my Destiny Draw. Decides to go in for attacks as opposed to maybe tributing them. And I did have Wall of D. I still have this face down. I decided not to use it because I knew he was going to activate my Destiny Draw, and I'm ready to Lava Golem his side of the field. And he, for whatever reason, decided to give me my edge back. If he actually didn't return this to my hand, I probably would have lost. But having this available to me made it so that I could still make some plays. So I Destiny Draw the Lava Golem. This is a great example of where this is going to happen. Place it on his side of the field. Lava Golem activates. The reason that I do this, even though I can't normal summon, is because I have Bacon Saver in the graveyard. So I feel a little bit confident. I also have the Wall of D for protection. He goes in for lethal with one of his big boys, and I use the Bacon Saver there. And then we bring forth Cyberdark Edge. I put the Ling Ling in. I have faith in my Wall of Disruption to protect me. He does some, he does some plays here with his Warrior. I think this card actually gives him the power to draw. He's doing his thing, beat down, thinking he can get over it, but nope, Wall of Disruption. He summons his Canadia as a response. He's pretty weak right here. 100, only 100 life points left, and I'm convinced that this is either a wall. If this is a wall of disruption in the back row, I'm convinced I can still win. So there's nothing. There's not a problem there. The biggest problem would have been a flood or a was it drowning mirror force, but I went in. I decided to go in aggressively. He surrendered, knowing that I was just going to swing over his monsters anyway and win the duel. So pretty good stuff there. Here we have a duel against Dr. Crowler. They also released a EX structure deck for Ancient Gears, and so this is somebody playing that new structure deck. It's actually a really good one. It's one of those structure decks that actually doesn't need extra support from outside resources. You can pretty much just buy 3 copies and have a competitive deck, so it's a pretty good. This is actually going to be a very quick match. He starts off with middle-aged mechs, Ancient Gear Fortress, and then summons a Ancient Gear Soldier. Surprised he doesn't have a stronger setup here, but I am okay with this. We decide to play this incredibly aggressive, right? So I Neos Fusion, and what I'm going to do is actually send this card to the graveyard alongside of Neos. This is a pretty bold start. If he had a Sphere Kariba, I'm pretty confident I would be okay with it because I did how great my setup was. But I decided to go in super aggressive, get myself a pretty fast OTK. Ling Ling lets me attack twice, so this guy decides or is able to attack twice for victory. Pretty quick duel there, so really solid stuff. I really like this deck. This is a really fun deck to play. I know it's not pure Neos or Neospatians, but honestly, like, the coolest thing for me is how well it can work in a lot of other decks. So this will be the final duel. I believe this will be against Red Eye / Dragon. I wanted to try and get as many clips from top tier decks as I could to kind of show you guys that it is a competitive deck. It is pretty viable. He has 25 cards in this deck, peak performance. We set up pretty weak here. One of the biggest problems with running the Neos engine is you might actually end up drawing your Elemental Hero Neos. You really don't want that ever, but it's something we can play around. Set 2 monsters, Neos Fusion. I think I send the Bacon Saver. Yep. Destroy his monster, Neos. Bring out another Neos Fusion. And then we're pretty solid right now. Pretty set for his play. We have a stacked board right now. Bacon Saver, Neos Fusion, lots of protection, lots of ways to get around his plays. He decides to do his Red Eye / Dragon setup. Swings into my monster. I use Bacon Saver to protect. This was a misplay. I should have used Wall of Disruption instead of Bacon Saver. I think I was trying to do something else, but I can't remember what exactly I was trying to do. But I should have Wall of Disruption here. 800 attack, that would have been down to 2400, so I would have been able to overcome that. So I should have Wall of Disruption here. But it doesn't matter. The deck is still really strong. We use another copy of Neos Fusion, bring out another big boy, and then we bring out our Cyberdark Edge. I put one... Yeah, there we go. So I put one copy of Elemental Hero Brave Neos into defense mode to have, just in case he does have a Drowning Mirror Force. Drowning Mirror Force is a really powerful trap card. Lots of people have it nowadays. Since it's in an older box. Basically, if you attack directly, shuffle all attack position monsters into your opponent's deck. It's basically, it's a Mirror Force card. So we're gonna go ahead, use our Neos Fusion to protect our monster. We do have another copy of Ling Ling, or not Ling Ling, but Cyberdark Edge. I attack directly. He summons a Blue Eyes or Red Eyes. I was actually going to so he does the enemy controller, or what I was going to do if he didn't summon this monster. I had 2 copies of Econ. I was going to Econ take for game, but he does have the special summon, the Red Eyes from the graveyard. Was it Red Eyes Insight or Red Eyes Spirit? He does have a copy of that. He summons his Red Eyes Archfiend. So I want to destroy Archfiend because Archfiend has a special effect when it's Gemini summoned Destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with defense lower than this. Monsters attack. And I did not want any of that to happen. This would destroy both of these cards. I think I had a Neos Fusion to protect, but I wanted him off the field. Did not want that to happen. So this duel plays out a good bit. He goes in for another attack. This is where the Wall of D comes in. Simply destroys his monster pretty easily. Wall of Disruption is really good against the Slash Dragon, against the Red Eyes matchup. But he does manage to... He summons his other monster, but at this point I actually don't care what he's going to do, because I'm just going to swing for game due to the direct attack of my Cyberdark Edge. So yeah, this is a pretty fun deck. I really enjoyed it. I will definitely be bringing forth more specifically Neos and Neospatian decks in the future. I just kind of found this one on the Duel Links Meta website, and I played it a little bit, so for me it was a lot of fun. And so that gave me a good reason to kind of build it. I managed to get a really good, a good amount of clutch replays. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to start the return to Duel Links with this deck instead. So the next deck will probably be a more focused on the actual Neospatians. But we'll kind of see what I have a good time with. I might just actually do 6 Samurais next to kind of mix it up a little bit. That way it's not constantly Neos, but I will see. Hopefully the deck doesn't get nerfed. I'm a little worried because people have been voicing complaints about the Neos Fusion engine in particular, but personally I think it's kind of alright. There's a lot of really powerful cards going around right now, so I'm convinced that it's okay for the game. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. It's a little bit longer than I hoped, but there was a little bit of an update I had to give you guys, so next time it'll be shorter. So anyway, that'll be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Later!